time to prepare for a storm is when the sun is shining. And on this sunny afternoon, we're talking about the safety and protection of avenues of transportation with the heads of two important agencies. Joining us today is Administrator James Barros of the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, or HI-EMA, as well as our Director Ed Sniffen of the State Department of Transportation. How are you guys doing this morning?
Very good. Yeah.
This afternoon?
Good.
Hey, Administrator Barros, why is it crucial to lock arms with DOT and other agencies on every level? We're talking city and county, we're talking community, even private sector, to keep our transportation ways clear and open.
That network of private partners that you mentioned, our state partners, our county partners, that network is what's going to keep Hawaii strong. So right now, from HI-EMA's perspective, you know, I have the National Guard on one side with the heavy lift. The other side is Department of Transportation and their heavy lift and their critical infrastructure. So keeping that network strong.
Well, I love that you folks are talking about it. Like I said a little earlier, when the sun is shining, that we're not waiting for disaster to strike before we start figuring things out, right? Director Sniffen, I got to read through the DOT's climate mitigation and adaptation plan. It's massive. It's a lot. I mean, there's short-term, mid-term, long-term resiliency plans. We've also got adaptation for future impacts of climate change. I mean, to the point where you folks are considering building, you know, ports 3 feet higher to deal with the climate change, you know, the rising oceans. My question to you, though, is how do you prioritize what is most important to focus on of all of the things that need to get done?
And that's a good question. For us, we know that transportation is really the lifeline for our communities and for our economy in Hawaii. And we treat it that way. We make sure that we can operate today with the infrastructure that we had built in the 60s and the problems that we have with them, and plan for the future as we go forward. Fully understanding that the future is not as nice as today. We get a lot more extreme events happening a lot more often, and rising sea levels that are coming through that we got to plan for. The way we prioritize is to ensure that we build resiliency in everything. Resilience to us is making sure that we can bounce back from any impact that we get, whether it's a hurricane, wildfires, and the like. We want to make sure that our infrastructure is built to be as resilient as possible. Fully understanding that it is what it is right now. So we fill that gap of resiliency with our operations, our emergency operations. We have great people that lock arms with HI-EMA, with our military partners, with our federal partners, and with our county agencies to ensure that we all work together to make sure that we can get everything recovered and safe for our people.
I love that.
And while we're doing that, we take the lessons that we learn from those different disasters and we build into our infrastructure for tomorrow. At the Kapalama Container Terminal, our newest terminal that we're building, we built everything 3 feet higher to ensure that we don't get flooded when sea levels rise. We also make sure that we're accommodating that difference in elevation, or that larger difference in elevation that sea level rise will come with. And we're making sure that we harden everything on the facility without flooding everything out behind us. So all of that has to be taken into consideration when we go.
I love that. And you know, when I first was given the opportunity to prepare for this interview, I was asked to focus specifically on the harbors. And then I got the call later that no, it needs to be about infrastructure. It needs to be about the harbors. It needs to be about our highways. It needs to be about our airports. All of this is important. And I actually agree with that, talking about all of those things, because that's how we're going to get all of those emergency supplies if at any time something should go down. So I really do appreciate the both of you being here to just keep our viewers up to date. And I wanted to ask, because I know that these are, you know, state agencies talking to one another, or state talking with city and county and stuff like that. What is it that my viewer who's sitting at home watching this interview, what is it that they can do, our general public, to, I guess, to better prepare ourselves, our families, our community for when disasters or emergencies strike? Or what can we do now, again, while the sun is shining?
Yeah, I mean, we constantly talk about the 2 weeks ready.
Yes,
right? Having that 2 weeks ready, because that's going to be good for a hurricane, for a tsunami, for extended power outage. We have 2 weeks ready. The other one we're really pushing is to build that network within your community, within your neighborhood. We're really pushing, our community outreach is looking for the HI-EMA, those community networks that will come together, that will form that core in that neighborhood, in that district, that will elevate our preparedness,
I
will
got you.
elevate our response.
I got you. And Administrator Barros, I just wanted to let you know that I'm actually a member of the CERT
Nice.
in my
Yeah.
in my hometown. It's called KK CERT, Kaneohe Kahaluu. And this is our the emergency response team within our community.
Yeah.
Because when you folks cannot get to us, we got to be able to help ourselves. And that's what you're
Yeah.
encouraging, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Well, gentlemen, if there is a way that we can, again, continue this conversation, I think this is excellent for our viewers to know that we got to be prepared. Again, when the sun is shining, let's go ahead and take care of things while we can, right?
That's awesome. And we're going to make sure that everything flows the way it's supposed to as fast as possible from our side.
Beautiful. I love that. Administrator Barros with HI-EMA and Director Sniffen with DOT, mahalo for your time and mana'o. We'll be right back on Island Life Live with your birthdays.